Roster Mania is in full swing with many transfer moves to talk to you about on this week's episode of HLTV Peek. My name is King Demps, let's waste no time and get straight into it. We're going to hit the smaller transfer stories in rapid fire fashion as we do, and then we'll take a little bit more time to tell you about the important stuff. Let's go. Gade's contract with Big has been terminated by mutual agreement to allow the Dane to explore options with other teams. Copenhagen Flames have officially announced the departure of Zyphon amidst rumours that he will be joining the new Sprout team. Case have rounded out their roster with Leo DRK, who was recently benched by OO Nation to make way for the Godsent Corps. French squad HEET are close to replacing Lucky with Jax after the latter was allowed to explore his options outside of G2. Australian organisation Order have announced the benching of Hats following disappointing performances at the ESL Pro League Conference and the IEM Cologne play-in. Apeks have added Kuban as head coach as well as JL to their playing squad. ECSTATIC have promoted Manx to IGL and have recruited Masonic trio Queenix, Chabby and Kragan. And finally, Alu's new project has found an organisation in the form of JANO, and they have also added Slowy and Otto B to round out their roster. Next up are the big stories from this week, and first things first, we have the news that Hades has officially been benched from ENCE, and that the Spanish star Orpa Son Pius of Movistar Riders is the favourite to replace him. This news comes after ENCE had a fantastic start to the season, placing second at IEM Dallas and ESL Pro League, winning the Blast Premier Spring Showdown, and most impressively placing top 4 at the PGL Major Antwerp. Despite this strong season, Hades was rarely a carry force for the team. His odd strong showing, like at ESL Pro League, sitting in the shadow of a 1.03 rating at big events and a pretty poor 0.91 average rating at the majors. Son Pius, on the other hand, ENCE's top target to replace Hades, has been a key factor in Movistar Riders' recent rise to number 7 in the world, helping them win ESL Challenger Valencia and being their best player in the run to top 4 at IEM Cologne. This may not be the only business that ENCE have to get done in the off-season, as rumours are ongoing that Spinks will be making his way to Vitality. So, will Son Pius be enough to replace Spinks and help ENCE win titles? We also have some big news coming out of the French scene, with two-time major winner NBK and Vitality stalwart Masuta reportedly close to joining Falcons. They will supposedly be replacing Kioz and Kyojin on the roster. This Falcons roster signed for the organisation back in February and achieved a reasonable amount of success so far in 2022, winning the ESL National Championships and the ESL Challenger League Season 41. And with that peaking at number 27 in the world rankings. They have, however, struggled to kick on against better quality opposition, failing to qualify for Pro League via the EPL conference and falling at the Global Esports Tour Dubai event to Mouse. The report from 1pv.fr stated that Amanek was originally targeted to join alongside NBK, however, obviously he chose to join LDLC. And as for Masuta, he was supposed to be joining Evil Geniuses in their off-season rebuild. However, when the North American organisation realised they would need to utilise a loophole in the major rulebook in order to continue playing in the Americas RMR to qualify for the major, they decided that did not sit well with them and they chose to turn elsewhere. Will the immense Tier 1 experience of NBK and Masuta be enough to get Falcons into the top 20? Elsewhere in the European scene, FASHR has signed for fnatic after the squad had previously been playing with HEET on a trial basis. This news also confirms that Mezzi will be their in-game leader moving forward. FASHR has enjoyed a lot of success over the past year in the Tier 2 scene, with ECSTATIC winning various online events such as the Pinnacle Fall Series 2. During that time, he was a carry force for his squad and was often their best rated player at events. Now fnatic have completed their new roster, how good do we think this lineup is going to be? And in our final piece of roster news, NAVI's coach Blade has confirmed that SDY will be sticking with the team up until at least the Rio Major in November. In an interview that the Ukrainian organization posted to YouTube, Blade talked in depth about SDY's performance and stated that the reason they were continuing with him were the decent results they had achieved thus far. Obviously winning the Blast Premier Spring Finals and coming second at IEM Cologne. Blade went on to state that whilst SDY did a really good job in some in-game situations, he needed to improve his reaction to certain in-game plays, both in terms of decision making and speed. So do we think SDY has done enough to earn his spot on NAVI, and what else are they going to have to do for him to be brought on permanently? Finally, we have a handful of non-transfer related stories to talk to you about. Starting off with some news from ESIC and their coaching bug bans. I am really getting sick of talking about this. I won't go into too much detail about this as the specifics are somewhat complicated, but essentially ESIC decided to change the way they calculated their bans based on an appeal from two coaches, Apeks and Guerri. This new way of calculating things shortened the length of many bans, and whilst ESIC claimed that no coach had missed more majors than they should have, this does not appear to be the case, as HLTV's calculations have found that at least 4 names missed 2 majors when they only should have missed 1. In any case, Valve have opted against following ESIC's lead and shortening any bans, and considering Valve's steadfast approach to ban lengths in the past, it doesn't seem likely that this stance is going to change anytime soon. If you want to read more on this situation to understand it better, we do recommend heading over to HLTV and reading the article so that you can fully understand the specifics. Next, we have some tournament news, and first up, we have the news that Into the Breach have won Finnish LAN Assembly Summer. The British-Swedish squad dispatched Havu, ENCE Academy and Alu's JANO lineup on their way to the title, with new Orpa Draken being their best performing player throughout the event. We also have some exciting news out of Brazil, with the announcement that Fire League's Global Finals, that is the premier South American tournament, will be held at FC Barcelona Stadium Camp Nou. Currently, Imperial and 9Z are the only 2 teams to be confirmed to compete in that tournament, but 6 more teams will be joining them. 2 from Fire League's Regional Global Finals, 2 from a North American qualifier, 1 from a European qualifier, and 1 more will be a direct invite. Next, we have the WePlay Academy League, and the group stage has finally come to an end, and a shocking upset has already occurred in the tournament, with Mouse NXT failing to make it past the groups. This is the team that won the first 4 iterations of this tournament. Instead, Mouse NXT will be forced to watch from the sidelines as their opponents from last tournament's finals, Big Academy, and Fnatic Rising head straight to the playoffs. 6 more teams will compete in a gauntlet-style bracket to determine the final 2 playoff teams. Remember, for a full rundown of the games so far and upcoming matches, head over to the HLTV event page. And in a final and slightly bizarre piece of news, ex-NAVI in-game leader Boomich went on record in a live interview with a Russian rapper about a failed move to G2. Yeah, that sentence was as weird for you to hear as it was for me to say. The Russian stated in the interview that conditions needing to be met for him to join G2 were complicated and included him relocating outside of Russia, which he was not willing to do. It is worth mentioning that G2 CEO Carlos Ocelot Rodriguez tweeted somewhat incredulously about the situation, saying, "What the fuck am I reading? Boomich, get a grip, mate." Make of that what you will. Finally, we have a couple of great pieces of content over on HLTV for you to check out if you love that Counter-Strike. Have you ever found yourself in a matchmaking game, thinking to yourself, how do I get all the frags so that I can get those all-important rank ups? Well, wonder no longer, as HLTV have run the numbers for you, and we have 2 articles telling you the best positions to play on T side and CT side if you want to get those big frag numbers. The links will be down in the description. And if you want to see the roster mania from this off-season analysed in all of its glory, make sure you check out the HLTV Confirmed episode that came out this week with Kassad, where the boys discuss all of the big changes and let you know their opinions. The link for that one will also be down in the description below. Thank you all for watching another episode of HLTV Peek. We really do appreciate all of the support. And remember, if you are lacking for some of that CSGO goodness in the off-season, head over to HLTV.org for more great content. And remember, repeat in a week for another episode. Until then, pew pew. See you next time.